Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for your attendance. A lot of things we could be doing tonight, but instead you're here, and I love that about you. These are the people that I love and favor. I've been walking this district since October of last year, and I've had the great privilege of meeting so many of you and having the chance to share ideas. My name is Mike Kennedy. I'm running for the State House of Representatives. It's a pleasure to be here. I never expected that I'd be here, and I acknowledge the white shirts in this crowd that support me. Thanks for being here. Very kind of you. I also acknowledge those that support my opponent. I think it's fantastic that we have good candidates that we can vet and judge and have a choice in this matter. The great democratic process works best when people are involved. My opponent and I agree on many things. Our backgrounds and our experiences are different. Every day I take care of patients. I'm a family doctor. I love taking care of patients. I understand the individual needs of the people in our society as a result of that. It's a great privilege to collaborate and work with people and resolve the issues together. In addition, I've been to law school. I'm an attorney as well. I've had the great privilege of studying the law at BYU and studying the Constitution. And I honor the Constitution as the inspired document that it is. I need to adhere to the Constitution. The Constitution is the framework under which our society functions. And anytime we drift away from that, we drift towards disaster. And frankly, our federal government is doing that. Thank you. For politics to work, we need the involvement of people like you, because special interests always want to select candidates. There's a lot of special interests out there, even in our state. The political process works best when the people elect their candidates from the people who will work for the people, and I'm that sort of candidate. I come from you, and I will work for you as your legislator. I want my leaders to solve problems. I'm going to share with you 3 principle-based solution problem-solving efforts that I will apply as your state legislator. Number 1, I'm a fiscal conservative. I believe that the government should take as little money from us as possible, and when they spend our money, they need to spend our money carefully. I believe this because I grew up in financial distress. My parents did not manage their money well. It was actually a significant pressure in our family because of the result of not spending money wisely. Money managed my family instead of my family managing money. I learned early from my parents that there was a different way to do things, and I vowed as a child that I was never going to live the same life of my parents. I worked at age 12 cutting grass and raking leaves like many of your children, like many of us had to. I earned $5 an hour doing that. It wasn't that much in the 1980s, but I was so thrilled to take that little bit of money that I had and that I earned and put it in the bank. It always made me feel good to put money in the bank. When I took money out of the bank, it always made me feel a little concerned. Why was that? Because in my family, I never knew if I'd have enough money from my parents to buy the school supplies that I needed. I needed money in the bank, and we need policies and politicians that feel the same way. If I'm your legislator, I will be very hesitant to take your money. Your money belongs in your pocket, not in the government's pocket. And if we have to spend that money, we need to spend as little of that money as is absolutely necessary. The role of government is to protect life, liberty, and property, and no more. We need to stop expanding government into the roles that it never should have been in the first place. Our state budget is around $13 billion. That is a lot of money. Can you imagine how much money that is? $13 billion. And guess who spends that? Who writes the checks for that? It's the legislators that do that. We need legislators where fiscal conservatism is not just a slogan. Fiscal conservatism is a way of life, and I'm that sort of legislator. I want to keep tax dollars in your pocket. I don't want to have the tax dollars flowing to the government. My second solution-based principle is that of competition. I believe competition allows the best to rise to the top. The government should not pick winners and losers. Whether in sports, politics, or business, the government should get out of the business of managing, picking favorites, and allowing them to succeed. I've been an underdog for most of my life. Growing up poor and coming from a broken family, I had to compete on my own, and thankfully school provided me with an open playing, competitive circumstance. And I was usually able to do well. I was really surprised, however, when I went to medical school and discovered something called affirmative action. Many of my colleagues in medical school had not received the grades or the test scores that those of us that had competed openly had. Affirmative action was a way to pick winners and losers, and certain favored groups had access not only to scholarships but additional support. I believe that competition is the right way to pick the winners and losers, and open competition policies is what I'll support as your legislator. Finally, my last principle that I will base my legislative work on is that of collaboration. I love collaborating with people. As a family doctor, I collaborate every day with people to help them resolve their issues. We work together. I do not solve the problems. In fact, we together solve those issues. Let me give you an example of that. I had a young fellow come to me back several months ago. He'd already seen 2 doctors and had had several months of complaints. His symptoms were nonspecific and difficult to pinpoint. But we talked, I listened to his story, I asked him questions, he gave me the answers, and we developed an initial plan. We did some tests. Those initial tests were inconclusive as to the nature of his issue. I had him back, we explained the circumstances, and I asked additional questions. I researched, I studied what might explain his circumstances. I performed additional tests on this fellow, and unfortunately for him, he was HIV positive, which is a devastating diagnosis. It was not good news that I had to deliver to that fellow, but because of collaboration, we were able to identify what the circumstance was and move forward. I will collaborate with you. I love talking to people. I've enjoyed sharing ideas, and through sharing those ideas, listening and researching, we can work together towards solutions in this society. People trust me with their health. You can trust me with your vote. Vote for the conservative candidate on June 26th. Thank you.